If you guys enjoy what I do, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free and easy to do. Welcome to my channel where we cover the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. We cover the stories both big and small, the epic and the cute, the silly and the tragic. I hope you all enjoy the ride, and welcome to the Chronicler of Lore. In Final Fantasy XIV, we've dealt with a lot of powerful enemies. Primals, gods, giant robots, very angry old men, and so on and so forth. But two species have caused quite a few problems for the Warrior of Light. One of those things had an entire expansion written around the chaos they caused. I'm talking about the Sin Eaters and the Voidsent. These two species have very similar origins, are connected in quite a few ways, yet they exhibit very major differences. Because of those differences, the question of which species is stronger needs to be answered, and today we're going to try to do just that. To start things off, we need to know where these creatures actually came from. After the Sundering, three unsundered Ascians, Emet-Selch, Lahabrea, and Elidibus, started working on putting their world and their people back together. They started with the 13th Shard, and because they had no idea what they were doing, they caused the world to be oversaturated with dark ether through a flood of darkness that turned the world into the Void and all of its inhabitants into the Voidsent. Now each of the shards of the source are connected. The first with the 13th, the second with the 12th, the third with the 11th, and so on and so forth. So when the 13th was overflooded with darkness, it made its counterpart, the first, more likely to be shifted toward the light aspect, which the Ascians decided to use in their plans. However, after Matron and Logrif were beaten by Arbor and his Warriors of Light, the light ether that the Ascians were gathering was set loose on the shard and began to consume the first, just like the darkness had consumed the 13th. This gave birth to the Sin Eaters. So now that we know the origins of these two sets of nuisances, we have to go into their abilities. One thing that people seem to think is that the Sin Eaters simply have the ability to turn people into other Sin Eaters. And they do, but it's not so much because of their own power as it is because of the state of the first. On the source, if someone's etheric balance is shifted slightly toward another aspect, then with time it will naturally go back to normal. If it is shifted too far, then we get to the realm of tempering, which requires special treatment to fix. But because the first entire etheric balance is pushed toward the light aspect, even having your ether distorted a little bit will slowly turn you into a Sin Eater. Spending too much time in places like the Empty could also turn you into a Sin Eater, so it doesn't even actually take being attacked by a Sin Eater for you to transform. So if we were wandering around the 13th Shard, then instead of people being turned into Sin Eaters, they'd get turned into Voidsent, something I'm pretty sure Nero was on the verge of having happen to him during your little jaunt into the world of darkness. So that power would be shared by both species. Next, let's talk about the most important part, their intelligence. For the most part, Sin Eaters don't really seem to be showing any real brain power. You expect that from the lower ranking ones, since a lot of them are made from animals and such. But even as you go up the ranks to the Light Wardens, only two of them show any signs of real intelligence. Titania, who was transformed after killing the previous Light Warden and already had a lot of power of their own, and Vothri, who is a unique creation altogether. He's a human Sin Eater hybrid who was made by some Ascian shenanigans, and to be honest, he's not all that smart either. He acts like an overgrown child who throws temper tantrums when he doesn't get his way, so he's not really a good example of brain power. Now at the top of the Sin Eater hierarchy sits Eden. Now Eden's a very special case. In a very brief summary, he was made when Arbor and his friends beat Matron and Logrif. While Logrif died, Matron was transformed into a Sin Eater by all of the Light Ether, and until you and Reen started to use him to repair the world, he was unconscious. He was knocked out by Minfilia, and I don't care what power she was wielding, losing a fight to her definitely drops your power level. Once you jump-started his ether, he was able to regain his Ascian mind and manifest himself in his original form and such, so out of all of the Sin Eaters, only 3 very unique ones were able to actually think in varying capacities. As for the Voidsent, there are some very stupid ones like those floating eyeballs and the imps, which I would argue are probably a lot weaker than the weakest Sin Eater, but only because we haven't fought them on their home world. The eyeball we fought in the world of darkness was a lot stronger than a lot of the other ones. Unlike the Sin Eaters, multiple Voidsent have shown signs of intelligence, from Ferdiad faking his death when you beat him in Amdapor Keep, to Diabolos absorbing the Shadow Queen in an attempt to elevate his power, probably so he could take out the Cloud of Darkness and rule the Void or something. There was Lilith, who after being bound on the Source by a mage who used her blood to enhance his power, used her connection to his descendants to guide them into breeding the perfect vessel for her. There are some enemies that you face that are Voidsent and you probably didn't even know it, like the Mimics. Unlike most Voidsent who have to have a vessel that was alive at least at some point, the Mimics possess treasure chests and wait for people to open them so they can eat, and very few adventurers can resist opening chests that might have some treasure in them. Now obviously the intelligence difference alone makes the Voidsent both superior and more deadly than their Sin Eater counterparts, but the question is why? Now there's no definitive answer just yet, but I do have a theory. There are two parts to it. First is their age. The 13th Shard was the first one that the Ascians messed with, which means the Voidsent are one of the oldest species in existence. And if we consider how time worked differently on the first for a while, it's possible that time passed just as fast on the 13th, which would have given the Voidsent even more time to evolve. Now the second part of my theory comes from the two different polarities of ether. The astral polarity that, according to Urianger, focuses on stagnation or keeping things the same, halts the flow of ether. Light ether is astrally charged, which makes the Sin Eaters stagnant. Basically, you get what you get. No growth, no change. So if you transform into a level 10 Sin Eater, you will always be a level 10 Sin Eater. Dark ether is umbrally charged, so it's about growth and change, which means even if you start at level 10 as an umbrally charged creature, you'd be compelled to grow into something more. Your natural instincts would drive you to advance, which would lead you to innovation and power. That's definitely the reason why you always see Voidsent coming up with these elaborate schemes and plots. Which is why I think the Voidsent are not only superior, but if left unchecked, they'll eventually become a threat that could wipe out the Source, meaning we need to go to the 13th Shard and deal with them. Hopefully we can start in the new deep dungeon that'll be coming out in the future. I'm hoping we'll get to hear a little bit about it in the next live letter, which I think comes out on Friday. So that's it for this video. It was a little different from what I normally do, but I was enjoying the conversation on the community tab and decided to keep it going. How did you guys feel about it? Did you like it, hate it, not really care? If you did enjoy it, even if you didn't, I still provided you with some entertainment, which means you can hit the like button, subscribe, ding that notification bell, leave a comment to tell me how much you liked or hated the video, join the Discord, and if you really want to show your support, sign up to become a member of the channel. Until next time, guys. Later.